Well, good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino beer review. Today you have the Rhino, and we're looking at a beer. Today's beer is from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. It's from Paddock Brewing, and it is their two-row light lager, which is a light beer at 4% alcohol by volume. And it says enjoy responsibly. You get to see all the fields of Saskatchewan. I'm intrigued about this. What do we have? Contains barley, water, malted barley, hops, and yeast. It's really all there is on this. That's all there is on this. Bought at Urban Cellars on Quants here in Regina. Not crystal clear, but pretty clear. Bright white head. Nice snap, crackle, pop. If we're just looking at and very yellow. If we're just looking at the visual appeal of this beer, not bad. Scent. Out of the glass, not much. A little bit of like barnyard, basically. I wouldn't say barnyard in like saison, like barnyard funk, but like almost like hay. A little bit of like hay. Scent from the can. It smells odd. Almost vinegary. I don't know if you guys see that, but it says 07/11/24. In Canada, you normally get month, day, year. Sometimes you'll get day, month, year, but usually you get month, day, year. So in my mind, that is, it's 07/11/22. So in my mind, that's July 11th of 2022. Today is December 12th of 2024. So we're looking at like 2.5 years old in the can. Now, Saskatchewan has a private alcohol industry, right? And the one thing you can say about private is there's competition, and that's great. However, because it's private stores and stuff like that, a lot of times nobody will want to take a hit on anything. So they will not pull old product off the shelf unless they legally have to. It's beer, you don't legally have to do much, right? That is best before 7/11/2022. Why the fuck is it still on your fucking shelves? Why the fuck is it still on your fucking shelves? Why the fuck is it still on your fucking shelves? On top of that, why, as a brewery who has salespeople that sell to stores, why don't you have somebody making sure that stuff like this does not happen? Because I'm sorry, you're a craft brewery, it might be canned, but it's a light lager, it turns easily in time. There is nothing guaranteeing longevity on that beer. Nothing. And that beer wasn't in a fridge or anything, it was sitting on top of a cooler in a 12-pack. And a 12-pack, okay? You pay a lot of money for beer in Saskatchewan. You pay a lot of money for beer in Saskatchewan. You pay a lot of money for beer in Canada. Quebec being the cheapest, but you pay a lot of money for beer in Canada in general. So when you are going to sell a lager that is 2 years past its best before date, it best not be full price. It best not be even like 2/3 the price. You better be trying to clear that shit out. This was not bought at a clearance price. This was bought at a cheaper price, I will tell you. It was on sale. But you never know if it's on sale because it's something that's 2.5 years fucking past date, or if it's on sale because they're just doing a sale that day. It was $5. It was $5 off the 12-pack. $5. So, if this was going to be your first introductory to this brewery, and you bought a case of beer for close to full price, and you took a sip of it, you got this flavor, you probably wouldn't go back to the brewery. Now, I've had a lot of good Paddock wood beers. I've had a lot of good Paddock wood beers. I've also had a lot of Paddock wood beers that I haven't really liked. But this one is not fully on them, yet at the same time it is. Again, in a private enterprising population, in a place where private shops are who sells your beer unless you're being sold at the brewery, you need your salespeople to be on this stuff. Your salespeople should be checking dates. Your salespeople should be asking why a store is selling something that is almost 2.5 years past date. 5 months, whatever. A year, still whatever. 2.5 years, what the fuck? It happened to me with Rebellion as well, and Rebellion one pissed me off because I bought it right at the brewery and it was 18 months old. I should never be buying a Kolsch that's 18 months old at the brewery. It shouldn't be what goes on. Like I said, for this guy, not their fault completely, but their fault because it's, when I was in Ontario, we talked about the LCBO and their plan of neglect. This is a neglect as well, but this is neglect, gross neglect from the company selling it, and neglect from the brewery that sold it to the company selling it. I'm sorry, you need to protect your own name. You do. You need to protect your own name. And if this is what this tasted like fresh, what the fuck? It has an astringent, slightly sour, slightly vinegary taste that hits the back end. The forefront, nice maltiness, and then that flavor hits. However, after that flavor, it fades into kind of just a biscuity, soda watery finish. And if I was just getting the forefront and the finish, this would be a fine light lager that I would buy again. I was actually excited to see it, because I was like, hey, let's try this. Let's see what it is. However, let's put it this way. This beer was on at full price 2 weeks ago when I was in the store last. So 2 weeks ago I buy this and it would have been full price. I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed at Urban Cellars for having this still on their shelves, and I would have been pissed at the brewery for letting this still be on the shelves. At this point, I'm pissed at both of them still, but for different reasons. This is insanity. This is insanity. I don't understand how something coming from Saskatoon to Regina, which is only a couple hours, to a private store, which means it should have been hand-delivered for the most part. I don't know, maybe there's a lot of Urban Cellars in the province, and it had to go to a lot of different places. But it almost feels like these guys are buying from a third-party vendor, and the third-party vendor doesn't care about rotation or anything like that. And that could have been the problem too. Who knows? Maybe even Paddock Wood doesn't care about rotation, and all of a sudden they got to the end of it, and they were like, oh shit, look, it's 2 years old. Oh well, let's bring it to them anyway. I don't know how the fuck it happened, but you should be ashamed of yourselves when this type of stuff happens. You should be ashamed when the customer is getting something that's best before date was more than 2 years ago. You should be ashamed of yourself. I lived in the Arctic, and while I lived in the Arctic, yeah, sometimes you would buy a case of pop that was a couple months past date, but you'd be buying it at 50 to 70% off. To buy a case of beer at almost full price, 2.5 years past date, what the fuck? I have a feeling that if it wasn't so old, that would be a 7 or an 8 out of 10, especially stylistically. At the age it's at and the way it tastes, as much as I'd like to give it less because I'm so angry about it, it's probably a 5. I've had a lot worse beers in my life. And they were fresh beers. But I'm still pissed off at the thoughts here. You should care more, is what it comes down to. You should care more. And I'm disappointed that you don't care enough to protect your consumers. I think that's what it comes down to. I'm pissed off. You don't care enough to protect the consumer. Your customer is what keeps you alive, both to the bottle shop that sold it and to the brewery. Yeah, I'm disappointed. Bye.